was like, Miss Keisha, y'all know that Vine? Anyways, let me not. And to not like worry about what other people are doing, to just worry about, okay, let's come back, you feel? Of course, I don't ever want to put that burden on my parents. You tend to, compare yourself a lot, and you get insecure, and you want to fit into all these standards. It's always good to take care of your mental health, obviously, but when it comes to like social media, because it can kind of affect your mental health a lot, sometimes it's always good to take a step back. What's up, everyone? It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. I'm Ethan, or EJ, and you are currently tuned into the Visualize podcast. This is episode, 7? I think, watch it not be episode. All I know is that this is the first episode of the new year. This is so exciting. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. Visualize is all about seeing and understanding life through different lenses than our own, and ultimately visualizing life in a better perspective. Really, this is a podcast where we talk and get into deep life conversations surrounding faith, surrounding, just school or work or whatever I want to talk about that week. So I hope you stick around. All right. As always, before we get into it, please follow this podcast. Please rate this podcast. Wherever you're listening, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please follow at Visualize by EJ on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, that's right. For more podcast updates and whatnot. I wanted to get that out of the way because we have so much to cover. Man, we have so much to cover. I feel like this is what's it called? If you're watching this podcast video episode, I feel like this is a FaceTime call. Really, okay, this episode is kind of like an update. In just like what has happened in the last 3 months. I haven't produced an episode in more than 3 months. And yeah, I'm just going to get into it. What has happened? Where have I been? How's life? Kind of just a catch-up episode while celebrating. This is our first episode of the year. So super, super exciting. Okay. So grab your snacks, grab your water, and sit back and relax, because I feel like this episode is going to be me rambling a lot. So if you're new to this podcast, I had a podcast actually before like creating Visualize, and long story short, it just fell apart. I wasn't as consistent, and it didn't give what I wanted it to give. Like I said this in one of my first episodes, that it was definitely like an experimental phase for me, where I was just figuring out what the type of content I wanted to create. And when I tried like doing podcasts, I feel like at the time I just was so excited about creating the name and creating the aesthetics, but I didn't really it didn't work out. So I created Visualize about a year or so later, maybe more or less a year later. And I knew I wanted to change things up a bit. I wanted to like be more consistent. I wanted to obviously get into conversations that I've always wanted to talk about. I just wanted to start fresh, And so I said in the previous episodes, I was like, yes, we are staying consistent, because that was one of my goals in creating this new podcast, is just, maintain that consistency. But then it fell apart. When was my last episode? Like late October. So late October, I released that was, I guess, like the last episode of last year. And I basically was planning out the episodes from then to the rest of the year. I actually had some episodes recorded, and I had a lot of guests lined up, to invite them onto my podcast. And then something happened like late October and early November. So basically one night, I was just, your boy was on the computer. I was just doing, I think I was like editing something, and I have like a USB drive. It's as big as my hand, and it's like 1 terabyte. So it's a pretty big USB drive. I've had it for many, many years. And I stored everything from content to like podcasts to like old, videos that I made like when I first started out my YouTube channel. And essentially there was one night that I was editing. To kind of give you a visual, I was in the kitchen and I was editing something or whatnot, and my USB drive was plugged into my computer. And so I had to like move my computer for some reason. I don't remember, but I moved it off of the tabletop, right? The counter, whatever. Y'all already know. But I had to move it off of the table for a bit, and my USB drive fell. Like it just unplugged from my computer, and it like fell really hard on the wood floor. So I was freaking out, bro. Like basically, okay. At first, when it dropped, it made like this loud bang. I was like, oh, let me. So I picked it up and I was like, okay. So I plug it back in. Man, like it doesn't show up on my computer. And it's making this weird whirling noise, right? And my dad was there right next to me, and he was like, "Oh man, Ethan, like it's gone. I was like, Dad, why are you trying to?" And man, and so I was like freaking out. I started to freak out because, years worth of like data and stuff were in there, and I initially thought like, "Oh shoot, did I lose everything?" Looking back, I didn't lose everything. It was more so just the actual USB. It broke. So we found out it broke. And I remember that night, I kept on unplugging it, plugging it back in. I thought like, some kind of miracle would happen and it will like heal, fix itself magically. But no, like I was like, Miss Keisha, y'all know that Vine? Anyways, let me go ahead. So I just went to bed that night. I was like, I don't want to deal with this. Man, I didn't even wash my face. I remember that I just said, you know what, I can't. Because I was really scared. To be honest, bro, like I was really scared. I was like, man, yeah. So that was that night. And then just moving forward, like a couple days later, we were just trying to figure out like, maybe there's like a repair shop in town that we can visit. And we actually got like a quote from like different, companies and businesses. Tell me why, man, like they don't play with like this type of stuff. Like I remember one of them, or like a lot of the prices were very much near like what a semester's worth of a semester's tuition basically. And I was like, oh bro, that's too much, bro. And anyways, so there even came a point where there was a small business that we approached, and they were actually really nice. They didn't have the tools. They actually told us like they checked out like my USB drive. They saw like what was wrong, and they told us what was wrong, and they told us that we don't have the tools, but we can actually ship it for you to our connections in California for free. And I was like, bro. And yeah, so we shipped it, and basically the price came out, and it was like literally more than a semester's tuition, in university. So my dad sat me down and he was like, like we can, we're willing to pay it for you, Ethan. Like, can you like consider not, because obviously that's a lot of money just for that small little USB drive. I mean, that's a lot. And of course, I don't ever want to put that burden on my parents. So I was like, no, like, let's have it sent back to us. And maybe later down the road when I start to get paid by YouTubers, I don't know. But when I start, like when I'm like established and I actually, have, like another source of income, maybe, who knows, I can get it fixed. But he's gone, homie's gone. No, I'm playing. So turns out that my data wasn't lost. It was more so of like the actual machine itself that was broken. And it's quite funny because this whole thing, we were just like looking for different people who can help us out, because not only is my content there, but I actually do content for my dad's business and my mom's business. So it's all in there. It's not just me. It's like my parents as well. So this took like the whole span of this was like a couple of weeks. And during that time, obviously, I wasn't able to create content. I wasn't able to do like my podcast because a lot of the the stuff, like the templates I've made, are all in there. And it's funny because actually, you guys know that, like, I'm sure there are some viewers or listeners who've watched the show Euphoria, right? One of my hands down favorite characters is Maddie Perez. You guys already know. But I love her. And there was one thing she said in that show. It was like, I think she said something like, out of sight, out of mind. And man, is that so true. From that time, I wasn't creating content, obviously. I couldn't. So it was just out of my mind. I wasn't thinking about it. And at first I was very just disappointed. I was scared. I was worried. I was like literally both butt cheeks clenched. Like I was so, I was scared. I was like, oh man, like like I don't know. Like when you have that sort of like attachment to like, something physical like that, something that like means a lot to you, and then it being like, broken, it's heartbreaking in a sense, what was I saying? But so I wasn't thinking about it. Just over time I just started to like, it's like, oh, like, like what can you do type thing. And I even told like my therapist about this. I was telling him like all just unpacking and just being very real about my emotions and stuff like that. And he said something real, like, man, it stuck with me. I think it was like, yes, like this situation is very sad. It's very unfortunate, obviously. And the feelings that you're feeling, it's normal to feel this way. But even though that physical thing, like those memories, those videos you've created, even though they're kind of stuck in there and they're kind of quote unquote gone, you still have that talent of like, he said something along the lines of, you still have those editing softwares and that talent to still create. So in a sense, you didn't really lose a lot. And I just, man, it's all about perspectives. Even about the smallest situations that you come across, like, it's just all about perspective, Now, I feel like that moment when that happened, was really meant to be for me. In hindsight, I feel like God was really wanting to reveal a bigger problem inside, when it came to like, just this passion that I have, and that is, Ethan, you're idolizing your work way too much. And I feel like just in that experience, God called me out real quick. He said, sit down right now. That night when the thing happened, when the USB drive broke, I'm just gonna be very real. Like, I kind of lashed out at God in a sense. I was praying and I was like, Lord, like, why did you allow this to happen? Like, I knew this wasn't his fault, because we all know it was my fault. I could have like held my computer better so that the USB drive wouldn't fall, but I still like lashed out. I was like, Lord, why did you let this happen? Like, why? Like, what was the reason? Like, literally. And I just didn't get it. I was like, man, I don't, like, why me? No, I'm kidding. And in hindsight, man, he wasn't wrong. Like, the Lord, he's never wrong. The Lord is never wrong. Like, I feel like I've just been sort of idolizing, my work, and I've kind of allowed it to define me in a sense. And this kind of leads to my like the second thing that kind of happened to me, like in that November time frame, which was because I wasn't creating, like, I physically wasn't able to make anything to create. Me and my friend India, we did like a little 3-week social media fast. And I've done social media fasts here and there, or rather detoxes. So just being on social media, obviously, it's a lot. Even for those who just use it, who don't post anything, it's a lot, because you're just constantly like being bombarded with all these different content, all this media. You're always constantly seeing the highlight reels of people's lives, and in a sense, like, comparison and insecurity are kind of they kind of birth from that, when you're constantly seeing all of this, especially when you don't necessarily like, especially when you start to kind of like put your worth in like how you look and what you do, and yeah. So even just like when I was in middle school and high school, I would take a break here and there, from social media. And like, my friends already know this. Sometimes like my friends be making fun of me, be like, Ethan's in another detox again, that's why he ain't responding, that type of stuff. But I would just take a break. There would be times back then where like I would straight up, I would be so addicted to social media that I would like wake up, the first thing I would do is reach for my phone and just scroll. And that's a lot. That's a lot. And like, even that night before, I probably was just scrolling and just staying up, and and so it's always nice. It's always good to take care of your mental health, obviously. But when it comes to like social media, because it could kind of affect your mental health a lot. Sometimes it's always good to take a step back. Maybe like delete the apps for one day off of your phone and just like reconnect. It's for me, it's always so grounding. Like, it grounds me and it kind of reconnects me, to like reality, and even just, it gets me back to those like real relationships that I have in my life, and yeah, it's always good to consider. But anyways, I feel like this fast though was kind of different in a sense. So initially, I deleted all of like my social media apps, even Be Real. I was like, I took a step back, and initially I was gonna do like just 2 weeks off, just 2 weeks. But then it kind of went on to 3. And this time was quite different, because not only was I gonna use this time to obviously, just kind of ground myself and, spend time with family and friends, and just like not be on social media. Not only was I gonna do that, but I was gonna use that time. I would have been using social media to get more intimate with the Lord. Oh my gosh, intimacy with the Lord, bro. It's always nice, because I mean, at least for me, it's kind of like spiritual sugar, it's like that soul sugar. It makes you feel like, ooh, like it's always nice. I feel like when I was creating, content, I've just been kind of drifting away from the Lord, and it kind of resulted in kind of backsliding in sins, and even just comparison and insecurity. Oh my gosh. So I was like, I can't make content. I mean, I can, but like I don't have anything to work off of, so might as well just like do this, just like this fast, right? I will say nothing like big like nothing like overly like spectacular like happened. It was, to be honest, it was chill. It was just like I used that time to really, to number one, pray, to spend time in the Word, and to just allow God to soak in me, essentially, while also just coming back to reality, and to kind of separate myself from like the virtual social media world, in a sense, and to not like worry about what other people are doing, to just worry about, okay, like let's come back, you feel? So yeah, there was nothing really like super, I don't know what you call it, just like, I guess, life-changing. It was more so of God teaching me a lot, God pouring into me. One of the things that he's poured into me, I will say, and just like really taught me, was identity. He really addressed to me like, Ethan, the reason why like you tend to compare yourself a lot, and you get insecure, and you want to be like, you want to fit into all these like standards of the world, like beauty and all of that, is because you're putting your identity and your worth in the wrong place. And I was like, oh, and it's funny because like I would pray, and I would ask God, and I would ask like, Jesus, like, why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel so insecure? Why do I tend to compare myself a lot to people, not just in the way I look, but even just like through content? Like I'm, and it's that constant like him pouring into me, being like, because you're putting your identity in the wrong place, and so he started to teach me like, your identity is not like if you look a certain way, your identity is not what, like, what people say, and even not just identity or worth, but just validation. Oh, like for me, there have been times in my life where I've kind of sought validation from other people, and it's not enough, I feel like God he validates us in such a way that is so different from like, the world, but it's enough, you feel? So he started to reveal to me like who he sees me as, you know, like how he sees me, you know. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I'm made new through him, you know. I'm forgiven. Gosh, like, and just like kind of like back to basics, you know, like this is how I see you. And that's you need to remember that, you know. Don't be listening to what people say. Like, that's so surface level. And even just this thing of there's my friends know this, how I'm not really the best at like memorizing verses, but it's always nice to have, you know, just in the back of your head, you know, when you have those like thoughts of like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not pretty enough. There's this verse, and it talks about how God doesn't consider the outside. You know, you look at the world, I mean, like it's always about like beauty and like, you know, this thing of like pretty privilege, and like how I've even seen it through my own eyes, how people would treat others better because of how they look, because of, you know, their, you know, how, you know what I mean? It's crazy. But God doesn't look at the outer. He looks at the inner. He looks at the heart. And it just reminds me that like, don't worry about like the outer. Like, that is so superficial. Like, there's more to a person than just like how they look. And, you know, and so during that time, it was just a lot of unlearning. It was just a lot of, not only that, like, we be going to therapy. And so it was just a lot of really unlearning a lot of stuff that I held on to. And even just practicing like that, like mindfulness, you know, being in the moment, you know, with the Lord. It's, yeah. So I remember, that was like my November time. And it was really nice. It was definitely healing. And yeah, I feel like everything happens for a reason. And I try to keep that mindset of like, you know, things just don't happen. Yeah, like you know, you come across unfortunate situations, but it happens for a reason. And you'll see, like, you know, you'll see that God will reveal that to you. If you're watching the video episode, sorry, I'm looking down on my notes really quick. All right, let's get into celebrating holidays. So this year I celebrated like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. I celebrated it in my hometown here. And I just had like a moment where, you know, during those times, even though it's so exciting, you know how like when we were kids, I know for me, it was always so exciting, especially Christmas. During Christmas time, it's always my favorite holiday. Just so much happy memories, especially in like school and like baking cookies and you know, just whatever, stuff like that. But now it's like, man, like as an adult, I feel like there's, you know, you have to, you know, you can celebrate Christmas, but like the next week it's like school, and it's just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I had a conversation with someone, and we were just talking about like, you know, how when we were kids, there was just so much hype around the holidays. I'm not saying like this year for me was just like wasn't like enjoyable and stuff like that, but I feel like this year when it came to holidays, it was just more chill. You know, it was spending time and like just cultivating those relationships with the people you love in your life, whether that be like, you know, like God or family or friends, you know. I wrote in my notes, this Christmas I wasn't really expecting a lot of gifts or anything. I wasn't looking, you know, that I remember when I was a kid, I was so looking forward to gifts on Christmas. But now it's more than that. It's more than the gifts. It's more than the presents. I guess this holiday was just, it was chill. It was more about just love, being surrounded with love. And yeah, it doesn't, that's the thing, is that I used to think that we would always, for holidays, we should always like throw a big like fest and it should be always exciting. But sometimes even the most simplest things can be so enjoyable, even the most simplest celebrations. And I'm starting to kind of see that, and it's always nice. So, yeah, that was like pretty much like, Christmas, Thanksgiving. I know Thanksgiving, your boy ate. Not just food, but like in the fits, I be eating that. No, I'm kidding. This Thanksgiving, our family, what did we cook? I don't think we did a turkey. I think, we had like a little Thanksgiving get together with a couple family friends, week or so prior to Thanksgiving, and that's when we did a turkey for everyone. But for our Thanksgiving, it was laid back, it was chill. We had like a little ham moment. We had we would make what is it? We would bake asparagus and wrap it in in bacon, and I was eating that up. And also, oh yeah, that's right. My parents made like this really nice pasta, and so that was like kind of the first Thanksgiving where we had pasta for Thanksgiving. So it was nice. All right, now getting into New Year's, man. So I'm the type of person during New Year's where I don't know if you would call it symbolic. No, I'm the type of person where, it sounds so cheesy and corny, but like when New Year's comes, for me it's always like it's a new chapter, it's a new start. And so I always take like New Year's and New Year's resolutions and goals, and just reflecting on the year. I always take it so seriously, especially these past few years. And so I know in late December, I posted I made like a little video that I'd been working on for a couple months. It was just like a candid video of just my year shot through an iPhone, and I made it look like an Apple collaboration. But no, it was shot on an iPhone. All those videos. Definitely check it out. I took so long to work on that. I was so excited, and it's just always nice to reflect. But I guess thinking about the new year, I knew that I've just been praying for some time, Lord, I want 2024 to to kind of be different in a sense. What I mean by that is, there have been experiences here in 2023. There have been struggles I've went through, and even just there have been people in 2023 that were in my life but kind of exited. And so in a sense, I just been praying that the Lord would kind of help me to enter 2024 with a new, how do I want to put this? Kind of brand new. One of the things that I wanted to do entering in 2024 is just kind of leave what happened in 2023 behind and kind of just, start fresh in 2024. You know what I mean? And that sounds so vague, leave what behind, But for me, that means leaving behind, I don't know, the stuff that I struggled with, even just in terms of insecurity and comparison, just leaving that behind, to kind of give you a perspective. It's kind of opening a door into the new year, and me just leaving behind all that baggage, all of that stuff from the past, just leaving it behind and entering a new door empty-handed and just, walking into this new year. That's kind of the thing I had for me. I had in mind, at least. There was a verse Let me pull it up. It's Isaiah 43:19. Hold on a second. Pull your Bibles out. Your Bible apps or something. Okay, hold on. I should have had this prepared. I'm so sorry, y'all. Okay, Isaiah 43:19. It's a vibe. I like it. It's like, okay, let me just read it. So, it says, "See, I am doing. Wow. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Don't you not perceive it? I am making a way in the oh my gosh. Whoa. Okay. I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." So, it's just that reminder that, like, you know, God is doing this new thing for you, you know, and I don't know, I've just been kind of, you know, talking to the Lord about, like, entering this year and, you know, just starting fresh, starting new with Him, you know, with the people I love. And yeah, I actually, after New Year's, that's right, I cut my hair, you guys. So before I get into what happened after New Year's, I cut my hair. Really, it was because, one, I kind of just wanted to start fresh. You know, if you've been watching my YouTube videos or, you know, just been on my Insta, I've had long hair for a couple months, and not only that, but, like, I was, like, breaking out low-key. I just started to, like, break out a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. And I was kind of growing tired of it. So I just cut it. I said, I just cut it really short. And I don't know, we'll see. Comment down below what hairstyle I should try. Or then no. But yeah, I want to do, like, a new thing, you know. But anyways, so after New Year's, I had to take preterm courses. It was like, when New Year's fell on a Monday, like that, later that week, I had to go back to school. And usually my university would give us like a month of break, which I love, you know, we love that. But I had to start my school semester early. Months ago, before New Year's, you know, when I was, like, registering for my new semester, I saw how, like, man, I'm kind of falling behind in terms of, like, the prerequisites and, like, you know, the courses I need to take for my major. And I was like, I don't want to graduate later. Like, I don't want to, you know, I want to get out of here as soon as possible. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know, we just gotta push through. And so I signed up for 2 preterm courses, and that kind of knocked down, you know, like, both of them were like 3 credits. So that was like, I just put it out of the way, like, you know. I completed 6 credits, and basically, like, a preterm course is obviously a course that you do before the semester starts, but it's like 1 week of just pushing through. It's like, it's a 16, at least for the courses I took, 16-week long course condensed into 1 week. And so the first day, I, like, not only did I have to read this, like, the syllabus and everything, but I was already doing 3 lab reports. I was doing all these assignments. And I remember they even put in, like, the syllabus, like, oh, like, your average work day is going to be from 8 to 5. Like, you're just, and I'm like, oh, not the 8, not them having us work, like what? Like, we just started the new year. Why are we rushing through? No, okay. But, yeah, it was 2 courses. One of them was physical, like, fitness and wellness. We basically learned a lot about, you know, just taking care of yourself, like, you know, working out, kind of like the science behind that. Like, I had to create like a workout plan for someone, basically. And then my second course was nutrition, basically, you know, just basic nutrition. And man, that was rough. But all glory to God. I passed. I remember, like, the first day, I was doing all of that stuff, and I immediately had to study. Like, the next day I had to study for my midterm. Like, that's how fast paced the course was. But it was just a lot of late nights, a lot of like essays, a lot of research papers, but we did it, and you can too. And that's why I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways, but yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to so far. Nowadays, I'm starting my new semester, the spring semester. I have a lot of exciting stuff going on in terms of just like content creation and projects that I'm really excited to show you all. But yeah, that's that. So just wrapping up this episode. Thank you all for still checking in on me. I know a lot of you were like, when's the next episode and whatnot, and I just wanted to release this to kind of explain on my end, like, what happened. I'm really thankful and grateful for each and every one of you who listened to this podcast, who have supported it, and I'm so excited for what this year holds, and even the guests, you guys, oh my gosh, Visualize is back. Anyways, as always, please like, follow, and rate this podcast wherever you are listening. And please also remember that you are loved and are fearfully and wonderfully made. That's it. I'll see you in the next episode. Stay safe, everyone. I love you guys. Bye.